Alright, welcome back to a brand new video of the Target Individual Program, Target Experience. Now again, a lot of us don't want to listen, particularly to people like me. They see me as, as somebody who hates their religion. First of all, the only reason why I hate your religion because you use your religion to try to destroy my life. You use your religion to engage in evil against me while trying to perpetrate like you're good Christians or good Muslims or whatever religion you associate yourself with. Okay? So I don't hate your religion because I wanted to hate your religion, right? Or because I was in the religion, I just found out the truth, so all of a sudden I hate it. No, I hate the fact that you use your religion to engage in persecuting me because I don't believe in your religion, because I don't subscribe to your religion anymore, right? I hate your religion and you because you have engaged in lies, manipulation, right? You have engaged in all sorts of crime against me, right? So don't come with me about hate, right? Right? Because if I hate you, I hate your religion, it's because I learned it from you and your religion. Okay? So there you go. But anyway, I've been talking about this for years. I talk about how they were sending me subliminal messages from decades ago about the mass unemployment, and I didn't put two and two together with it being AI. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, AI, we knew about AI. We knew that, well, those of us who knew, we knew that, we were talking about AI from since the early 2000s, right? Because they were using AI to manipulate us, for those of us who've been microchipped, because the way how things would happen in such real time and instantaneously, we know that there was no human being behind the machine that's pushing buttons and typing things to transmit to us, right? We knew that it was some form of artificial intelligence. And I talk about DARPA and, at least being 2 decades ahead. So as good as AI is today, the military, DARPA, CIA, so forth, they're at least 2 decades ahead, right? So in terms of where they're at right now, in the year 2045, the advance in AI, in which in the public sector, right, will catch up to where the military, CIA, DARPA, their AI are today, right? To understand that. So not only that, but I talk about Whitney Webb a lot. Talk about what's her name, Catherine Fitz, and they've been talking about that over the past couple of years also, about the so-called the digital ID and the basic universal income. And like I said, we as TIs, and particularly those of us who are on disability, are the precursor to this, basic universal income, right? Even though we are disabled in some way, right? But this is a universal basic income because again, AI is going to take over a lot of the jobs, right? And don't think because you're in retail, AI is not going to take over your job too. Okay, it's coming for those in retail and factory workers. It's coming. All right. So again, now now they're saying again that it is estimated. Some estimated that half of all white collar jobs will disappear as artificial intelligence advance. However, older white collar workers displaced in the AI revolution fear. A recent book, American Idol, late career job loss in a neoliberal era. Now they keep saying neoliberal, but I want you to understand that also neoconservative, right? But they don't talk about neoconservative, but they're the same. Neoliberal and neoconservatism they're exactly the same. The only difference is in their political ideology, right? But when it comes to when it comes to like regular people who are conservative, they have this is a different ideology. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You will always have two opposing parties or two opposing force that will lead their followers down a certain path, but ultimately, the people at the top, They all work together, they dine together, they live in the same communities together, right? While separating their followers, okay? Because that is how they control you and I. That is how they, because again, they consider themselves to be gods, right? While telling you that there's only one God, but they consider themselves to be God. Why? Because they control our lives, they control our resources, right? So when people say, "Well, God control my life," God don't control your life. Because just as how they're creating AI to replace us, if your God allowed that to happen, then what does that say about your God? And what does that say about your belief system in that God? And like I said, else I'm always the devil. Well, then stop with the whole God is all powerful and all knowing and all seeing, because obviously he's not. Because if the so-called devil is more powerful than your God, then your God ain't nothing. And I say this, and you're gonna have some angry Negropeans, who gonna try to harm me in some way, because that's the mindset. That is the delusional mental sickness in which religious believers have. The sadistic, narcissistic mindset that they have, right? Based on the fact that they believe in their God, right? But time and time have showed them that their God is not all powerful, he's not all seeing, and he's not for them, right? He's only for a particular group of people, right? But not for them, all right? So, okay. Summaries interviews were conducted with 62 baby boomers who lost their white collar jobs during another unemployment crisis, the 2008 Great Recession, and its sluggish recovery. Statistics show that workers over age 50 experience the highest rate of long-term joblessness. Their layoff also coincide with the precarious stage of the life course. Too young to retire, but too old to start all over. As one of our interviews puts it, Gen Xers today face the same quandary. They were, however, vastly different financial outcome after these post 2008 layoffs. At one end of the spectrum were those boomers who experienced hard fails because long-term unemployment and back-to-back job losses were common within this group. Some turned to accessing food pantries, applying for welfare benefits, and losing a home to a short sale or foreclosure. Job lostness at the other end of the spectrum were soft landing. An individual were more or less financially unscattered. Now, even though this is happening today, okay, I want you guys to understand this also. Let me pause this because I want to get to that article. All right. Now, in the recent article, right, that's happened recently, that number has gone up from 74 trillion to now 124 trillion. Now, I want you to look at this. Look at the picture that they have in this article. Okay? See this? Right? See this? Okay? Now, why do they have a picture of a black family in there when they know by the year 2050 black people will have zero wealth? Okay? Because I want you to understand how visualization is used to manipulate our minds. Okay? So how do I counter this? By knowing. Right? By knowing. By doing the research. By understanding not only how they psychologically manipulate us and not even think about it, because we're going to think, oh, we're included in this. No, we're not. No, we are not. Okay? All right? So, when you look at the fact that they're going to transfer all this money, and this is the white people, not the black people. Let me find some of the original articles here so I can show you guys. Okay, well, I'm going to show you guys how they manipulate things, because there were articles that I've read that talk about the great white wealth transfer. So now when you do a search on white descendants, you see here where it says missing, right? White 74, which is the 74 trillion, right? Okay. So again, I want you guys to understand how they will manipulate these things. And because again, they don't want it to, they want to manipulate black people, basically, into thinking that they're part of that, or that 124 trillion dollar transfer in wealth that's going to happen by the year 2044, right? Again, so let's do this, okay? Because again, there are ways to put things in the proper perspective, even though they'll manipulate your search, and they'll remove articles online, and they'll change certain words or omit certain words. But let's look at this, right? Okay. All right. So look at this, and this is from the AI. It says this 2017 report predicted, and this again, you need to understand how AI, for those young people today who are not taught how to do research, who have come into being an adult within the past 5 years or 10 years, they're very ignorant to how you do research and stuff like that, right? To the truth, because they're conditioned to not want to hear the truth. All right. And also, this is a perfect example. We'll tell you that how there are those people out there who are telling you the truth, and there are those people out there who are lying to you. Particularly as black people, we always have to weigh these things into consideration when we look at things, right? So what you have to do is go through legitimate, credible sources, right? So a 2017 report predicted the median household wealth could fall by zero by 2053 if current trends in racial disparities continue. Now we know that year after year, the income inequality as well as the wealth inequality between black and white separates. Right? White people continue to climb in terms of wealth accumulation. Black people continue to fall in terms of wealth accumulation. Right? I said, but other analysts projected significant wealth growth by 2050. Well, you say, how is that? How they can predict significant wealth growth when all of the studies, right, within the past 3 decades, right, have said that it will take black people at least 200 to 300 years to catch up to white people in terms of the wealth accumulation of white people that they have today. And this is the average white family, okay? So it's going to take us 200 to 300 years to accumulate the wealth that they have today. 200 to 300 years from now is when we'll be able to do that. Okay? Right? The 2017 report by Prosperity Now and the Institute for Policy Studies attribute this projection to systemic factors like discrimination, housing policies, lack of access to capital and investment opportunities, and mass incarceration, which perpetuate a cycle of wealth accumulation for white household and stagnation for black household. Right? The Road to Zero projection. The prediction, the Road to Zero wealth, projected that the median wealth black household could reach zero by 2050. Okay. Now again, let's skip past this because I want to get to some of the articles, which they'll tell you with all these different. Just read the headlines. All right. So this is from February 2024, according to a 2020 census data. Let's look at that. Okay. Talk about the racial wealth gap. According to a 2020 U.S. Census data, the median net worth of black household is only $18,430, okay, which is the lowest amongst any race or ethnicity in America. In comparison, the median net worth of all U.S. household, listen to this, is 76 times higher than black net worth. Okay. Is it 76 or 7.6? 7.6 times high. Okay? Additionally, A startling statistics by the organizations Prosperity Now and the Institute for Policy Studies predicted that the median wealth of black Americans will fall to zero by 2053. Okay? So all you got to do is look at the data. So, but what happened is that black people look at these black celebrities. They look at these social media people who really don't have a lot of wealth. There's only just a very few amongst the black social media or the black content creator that actually are making a significant amount of money, and I wouldn't even say multi-million, right? But when you look at who's behind them, it's all white faces, white faces. Okay, that is behind their eyes. Okay, so let's look at again Black Enterprise. Here's a black website and a black financial magazines that talks about the same thing, right? Where it says you can have a glamorous six-figure salary, advanced degree, and an exclusive title at a large corporation and still be impacted by the negative net worth virus that is prevalent in black communities. Okay? According to the Road to Zero Wealth, again, we talk about that it will be for black people by the year 2053, the wealth will be to zero. And we see that trend happening, not the other way around. We don't see the majority of black people coming out of poverty, but we see black people who are in the middle class are now becoming the working class. Just as how you see a significant portion of white middle class Americans, but not a lot as much as black people, right, who are now in the working class. Right? So these things, again, is not make-believe. I'm not saying these things just to say it, right? So when I talk about these things, people don't believe me, right? And what I've shown you guys is how they will lie, how they will manipulate the internet, the information, okay, to try to include, I'll take out the word white from the $124 trillion that's going to be passed down to white people, not black people, white people. Okay, and you will do that as you do the same search. Hopefully, I mean, I didn't go through every single article on there, but you see how the word white is crossed out. You see that. Now, why are they doing this? Again, manipulation, cognitive warfare, to get black people to not to think about it. So when black people read these things, they don't see white only, right? And black will have zero wealth. What they see is that, oh, Gen Xers or what have you, such and such, such and such, right? But we know that the wealth income gap keeps getting wider and wider. But that is how they manipulate us. That is how, by admitting certain things, right, they keep us manipulated into believing that we won't be affected by this and we're going to be part of that wealth transfer. We're not. We are not. So don't believe the hype. All right? Talk to you guys in the next video.